Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Saul Lopez and I am an award-winning content creator based here in Los Angeles. In today's video, we have a very special video. I recently had the opportunity to art direct and edit a commercial for Pacsun and We Are Uprisers. This was a very special project for me for a couple of reasons, but the main reason being that the owner of Uprisers is my good friend, Michelle Hanabusa. She's also the first person that ever hired me to make a video back in 2017 when I was first starting out. 4 years later, she has her clothing line at over 47 Pacsun stores across the United States. Without further ado, here's the campaign video that I helped put together for this release. Diving right into it, I want to break down the 4 steps that it took to put this video together. The first step being how I got the gig. So as I mentioned in my intro, We Are Uprisers is a community-driven streetwear brand here in Los Angeles, and it is owned and operated, creative directed by my good friend, Michelle Hanabusa. I connected with Michelle at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. Through email. We had a mutual friend and someone that I went to high school with, and Michelle was just starting her clothing line. It wasn't called Uprisers back then, it was a different version, but she just sent me an email letting me know that she was starting her own clothing company and she needed a videographer to make her videos for her, so she reached out to me. Luckily, I immediately said yes. This was the first person that ever reached out to me to offer me a paid gig in 2017. I had only owned my camera for about 5 months at this point, so it wasn't anything extensive. And I owe my entire career to Michelle. This is why I always say it. She was the first person to take a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful. This is how I got the opportunity. I've been working with Michelle for the last 4 years, shooting all her pop-ups, making all her videos for her Instagram. Step number 1, get yourself some good friends with big ambitions and make the videos for them. The second step to this process was the pre-production phase. I had the task of being the art director and editor for this whole project. What an art director does is I take direction, creative direction from my boss, in this case, Michelle, and I help put together what I think would be best depending on what her needs are. So in my role, I worked with Michelle in the pre-production phase to put a couple things together. The first thing being this storyboard for the hero campaign. So if you see here, this is just a couple of the ideas that we had moving into the video, with the first thing being the introduction collage type of situation, which ultimately ended up getting scrapped. As you saw in the video, we opened up with a kind of a notebook type of feel to give a little more youthful energy that Pacsun's audience has. Moving over into it, we had just a couple of text overlay ideas, some key phrases that we wanted to include in there that really introduced this new Pacsun audience into what Uprisers stands for, just in case they hadn't known or didn't really want to do any further research. And then we also kind of laid out roughly where we wanted to include the talent or influencers that we brought on for this project. We kind of had just like the overlays that we wanted there and just some ideas for how we wanted them shot. So we have some like outdoor urban day shots. Everything, we really wanted it to feel like a street style feel. So we wanted them out and about. And if you see that video, the majority of them, they're all out in the street as opposed to an in-studio professional look. The storyboard was just one part of the pre-production that we wanted to get down just so we had an idea of where we wanted to go go to, even if it ended up shifting, which it ultimately did. If you see the final video, we just wanted a little something to have in our back pocket. Moving over, we also had to decide what our deliverables were going to be, you know, how many videos we wanted to come out of all these shoots, and what the strategy was behind it. So at Uprisers, our social media strategist is Carrie Okubo, who I actually went to Pepperdine with. What they felt like they needed, that was communicated to me just so that I understood what I needed to gather from all these different influencer shoots. So here we had roughly some of the things that we needed to put together. We needed some reel and TikTok content, some key phrases that we wanted. We had a little inspiration here of a previous Uprisers video that has gone up on our feed, just to have like a little idea, which is just a little vibey. We had some ideas for the feed and story post featuring some of the talent that we were using, Megan Lee and Tatana Jackson. And finally, just some of the final, you know, copy that we had, some of the 47 stores that we were going to be at, and a little key phrase here. Originally we were going to launch on February 11th, but it got pushed back a week due to delivery delays, but ultimately it came out on February 18th. Over the course of the 4 years, we've been very lucky and privileged to connect with amazing human beings around the country and around the world, not just here in the United States. For this project, we had 8 influencers that Michelle wanted to work with. So after that was decided, my job was to help put together a little how-to film guide that kind of encompassed what we needed. So just for reference, this is something that I put together that explained the concept, the camera setup. We needed it filmed in landscape mode and not portrait mode. You know, what resolution we had them, everything was shot on iPhone for the most part, so we wanted them to shoot in 60 frames per second at 4K, just in case I needed to slow down the footage. Just some suggestions that I threw in here as well was using a camera stabilizer, a gimbal. A lot of these influencers are already content creators, so they're used to filming themselves or having someone film them. My job was just sort of to explain the ground rules, but I had full confidence in them that they kind of knew what they were doing. But just in case they had any questions, this could be of use. And the final thing that I had here was how to upload the clips. We created a shared Google Drive folder within our Uprisers account that we created all these different folders of deliverables and assets that we were going to send out. One of them being a folder for influencer footage. And here we had all of the different influencers that we were going to be using, and this is where they were able to drop off their footage. A lot of the groundwork was done by Michelle and Carrie. I just kind of had to, after they decided what they ultimately needed for this push, I kind of just went ahead and made it easier for everyone and just a little bit more organized as to where to drop off the clips. So all of this was done around the end of December of 2020 because we knew we had to get everything done for February 11th, so we wanted to give ourselves a little buffer time. The next step that we have in our process is the production phase. So I wasn't able to physically film any of these influencers due to COVID and just distance and timing and scheduling. It was just kind of a lot to put together. So everything was done remotely from my house. After the email was sent with all the instructions, we kind of just let the influencers do their thing. We've worked with them before. We know that they are capable of producing high quality content. And my job was basically just to sit back and wait until I got all the footage. So the production phase for the influencers, we gave them about 2 to 3 weeks to create everything, and we wanted everything delivered by the final week of January, just so I had some time to edit all this together. Once I had all my footage, this is how I organized my hard drive. So I use a Lacy hard drive, as you can see here. And within it, I created a folder called Uprisers Pacsun campaign, just so that I was able to keep everything nice and organized. I created a few folders here that helped me locate things a lot quicker based on all the deliverables that we needed. The first thing I created was a folder for the influencer footage. So if you see here, I have all the influencers labeled just so that I can easily access them, and it has all of their footage dropped in for easy access. I created a project file folder for my Premiere Pro project file, some animations that our talented animator and graphic designer Kelly Hanabusa, who happens to be Michelle's cousin, was creating for us on this video project. What I want to draw attention to you is the different exports. So let's open that up. The first one that took the longest time was the long form feed, which is the one I showed you at the beginning of this video. If I open this up, you can see that we went through 11 rough draft examples before we actually made it to the final version, as you can see it here. So it was quite an arduous process. I'll show you what we started with. So this was an example. This is just a 30-second piece that I wanted to put together as sort of like a sample. And it kind of, you can see some of the original footage here and just kind of what it looked like. And it's very similar to the final product, just a little, you know, more bare bones. I also had a teaser that I put together that kind of just teased the long hero campaign that we kind of posted on Instagram. It was just a short little thing, around 20 seconds long, to just give a little introduction to what was about to drop on February 18th. So this dropped on February 17th. And finally, we have the hero Instagram version. So I had to reformat this into an IG Reel. IGTV seems to perform not as great as IG Reels because it seems like Instagram is pushing IG Reels a lot heavier. So I just wanted to create a shorter version for IG Reels that the team could use, and that is what this final product ended up being. Moving on to the fourth and final phase, we have the post-production phase. I had to edit all these files, put everything together into a cohesive video. It kind of just felt like I was putting a jigsaw puzzle together, but I'll actually open up the Premiere Pro project file and show you guys here what it kind of looks like to give you a sense of just kind of the mess that everything was. The post-production phase, a little pro tip that I like to give you guys all here is, once I had all my influencer footage, I like to create a sequence that I just like to call all. And I basically just drop all the footage that I have for this project so that I can easily scrub through it, and if it's a little easier access for anything that I maybe do want to end up using. In my final sequence, I called it Pacsun Final. It was in a 16:9 format, and you can kind of see all the elements that went into it here. So we have just a lot of overlays and a lot of text, a lot of logo mock-ups, a lot of cuts, a lot of just kind of a mess, honestly. But yeah, this is really what the project file looked like in the final video. We're missing some of the audio here just because I accidentally trimmed it for another version. This is what it ended up being. It's about a minute and 15 seconds long. And this is what it looks like. And then this is a version that ended up going on our YouTube channel. So we also have the reformatted version of that same hero video, but for Instagram Reels. So this is kind of just what it looks like. A lot of text overlays. You can see the music and a couple of sound effect designs here. Again, this version had maybe about 5 revisions just because Michelle kind of already knew what she wanted. And finally, here we have some of the IG teasers that I put together. So again, this is what dropped on February 17th, just prior to. But yeah, this is how I organize my Premiere Pro project file, especially with such an extensive catalog of footage that I kind of had to go through. So here are all the different sequences that I had and just a lot of the effects that I have. So just kind of try to keep it as tidy as possible and organize it in a way that was easily accessible. All right, everyone, so this is the team. We're having our final calls now. This is Michelle, Carrie, Annie, Christine, Lindsay, Kelly. This is a squad that put the clothing line in Pacsun. Nuts. Really small, tight-knit crew that helped put all this together and create this amazing campaign for the Pacsun and We Are Uprisers drop. Michelle and I also had the chance to be featured on a podcast called the Collab Podcast. All right, everyone, so it is Friday, February 12th. Myself and Michelle got invited to speak on this podcast called The Collab. So the first half hour, she's gonna interview me. The second half hour, I'm gonna interview her. Excited to see how it goes. We're literally in the thick of all this Pacsun madness, so we're taking an hour out of our time to get it done, but here's some behind the scenes of it. But yeah, at an early age, I was kind of very involved in the arts at school. I was like in marching band, and I was also in orchestra. I played the violin for 10 years growing up. So just always very, you know, art-minded, if you will. But yeah, you know, I ended up going to the University of Oregon after I graduated from high school, and I was there for... Aside from that, we were also featured in Euphoria magazine, which was really cool. We had a little write-up about the Uprisers story and the team, and just, it was awesome just to reread everything that we've been through, and it's kind of surreal seeing someone else write about everything that you've gone through for other people to read. So that was kind of a cool experience. And yeah, I actually went to the store the day of. This is one of the shirts that I'm wearing right now, so I'm gonna cut the actual day where I went to the store so you can check it out as well. I'm about to head over to a local Pacsun store here in Los Angeles to pick up some of the clothes. Let's go. crazy. Got the order right here. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but I really wanted to give you all the insight as to what goes behind the scenes into a drop and projects such as this one for Pacsun and We Are Uprisers. This is about 2 months in the making as far as the pre-production, production, and post-production process. I'm so incredibly proud of our team and Michelle just for everything that she's been through as a small business owner. And I'm so glad that I get to document her life, her business journey. And this is really just the beginning. You know, we've been working really hard for the last 4 years just to get to this point. And, you know, hopefully we can just keep progressing from here. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, if you're ready to create your own campaign video for Pacsun, please leave a like, subscribe if you would so choose to, drop a comment. It really means a lot, really keeps me motivated to keep putting these videos together for you all, and I hope you're learning from them. But with that being said, thank you again for watching and all your support, and I hope you're staying safe out there, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
I might just hit it through. That's on my element. I like dark skins, love a melanin, talk, pushing the guitar when I'm stepping in.